Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're here, you're welcome. My name is Rosina Sharon and today we're going to do a very soft glam, okay? And before we do that, kindly subscribe. Guys, please subscribe, share your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'll be reading all of them kama kawaida. And if you like the video, give it a big thumbs up. And no further ado, let us go straight into the video. So we're going to start by brushing the eyebrows upwards using a spoolie before we start lining. And to line, we're going to use the Davis number 3 eye pencil. Make sure it is as sharp as it can get. And if you don't know where to start lining the brow, you're going to follow the corner of the nose as instructed. Place your first dot there. Where to carve the lower side of the brow, you're going to follow where your pupil ends. Place the second dot there. And the last dot following the lower lash line in that angle, placing the last dot there, and you're just going to follow those 3 dots to line the lower side of the brow. Now when it comes to lining the upper side of the brow, I wouldn't recommend you start it directly from the inner corner. Leave a bit of space around the inner corner. Just follow the shape of your eyebrows to line. Okay, and then before we start filling in, you're going to use a bar soap. Make sure it's wet with water, rub on it, and then you're going to use the thick white foam that forms there. So take a spoolie, take some of that thick white foam, and then use it to brush through the eyebrows around the inner corner. Brush it upwards as you go towards the outer corner. Brush it in a way they just fit in between the 2 lines. And before you continue, use the other side of the brush and then press the eyebrows in. Allow for the soap to dry out completely fast before you start filling in. Now to fill in, you're going to start from the outer corner going towards the inner corner, and you're going to use gentle strokes, okay? Gentle strokes, and use very little force. Around the inner corner, you can tilt your eye pencil sideways like that, and then just form a shadow on the inner corner starting from the lower side there. And here you're going to use very little force just so it creates a shadow. And then after that, we're moving on to cleaning the eyebrows. You're going to use a concealer 2 shades lighter than your skin tone and a flat brush to apply the product on the brush. You're going to do it side to side, so the product is concentrated on the side of the brush, not on the tip. And then how you hold your brush while you're cleaning is very important. Make sure it is seated down like that as instructed on the video, okay? And then immediately after, drag the product down as you go. And guys, I have a very detailed eyebrow tutorial on my channel. Kindly just check for it. You're going to find it and you're going to learn a lot more on that video. Now on the inner corner, you're going to use a foundation that matches your skin tone, so it's easier for you to blend. And on the inner corner, make sure that line blends into the line for the concealer. And then after, you can just use your finger to blend the edges both on the inner corner and the outer corner. Now before you continue, make sure you use a fluffy round brush to just blend in that product before it dries out completely. And do that before you start setting the lids for eyeshadow. Now to set the lids, I'm going to use an eyeshadow base from Golden Lip, and you're going to apply the eyeshadow base using a small round fluffy brush. Apply the product on the side of the brush, and then for application itself, start from the lower lid moving up, so the product is concentrated mostly on the lower lid. As you go up, it just blends into the concealer on the upper side. And here you're going to tap. So for eyeshadow today, we're going to start with that darker shade of brown. It has a warm undertone, okay? For this particular, especially if you're going to do nude eyeshadow, the first transition is a darker shade of brown, but make sure it has a warm undertone, not a cool undertone, okay? And then you're just going to apply it there as instructed, guys, from the outer corner. And then as you go towards the inner corner, it's concentrated mostly on the midpoint of the lid. Now before you continue, you're going to tap off the excess product using the same brush, and then using again sweep-like motion, just blend in the edges before you come back to blend. Now to blend in, you're going to use a lighter shade of brown. You can use a bigger fluffy brush for this, and then you're going to start blending from the outer corner going towards the inner corner using circular motions and very little force. Now around the crease region, you're just going to use the same brush you used to set the lids, just to blend in any creases around the crease region. And then you're going to use that nude shade, just use your packing brush for this, and make sure your packing brush is fluffy as well, especially if you're going to use a nude matte shade. Make sure it is a bit fluffy. And then after, I'm just going to do a wing. You don't have to do this. This is not a must. You don't have to do this. You can just do a bit of mascara and go. But for me, I'm going to do a bit of a wing today because it's been a while since I did a wing. Fill it in, and then before you move on to applying eyelashes, when you're done, make sure you do a mascara first before the lashes. Okay, it's very, very important for you to start off with mascara first before you do the falsies, if at all you're going to do the falsies. But again, if you're a beginner, you do not need to do falsies. You can just do mascara and move to the face. Now moving on to the face, you're going to start by prepping the skin. I already did a hyaluronic acid before this, but I'm going to start off on this tutorial. I'm going to start off with the Bondi Sands sunscreen. This is a very moisturizing sunscreen. Bondi Sands SPF 50. Very, very beautiful and very moisturizing as well. And I'm just going to apply that all over the face and then allow for it to set first before you move on to the next product. And then after that, you're going to apply a primer. I'm using this Rimmel Stay Matte primer, and for me, I'm only going to apply that around my T-zone area because I have dry skin. If you have oily skin, you can apply the primer on all the areas you have open pores. Okay, but for me, I'm just concentrating on the T-zone area alone. And for this one, I'm going to tap it in. Okay, tap, so it is merged into the skin. And then again, after, allow for that primer to set into the skin completely first before you move on to foundation. And for me, because I have dark circles on my under eye, I'm going to start by color correcting. I'm using the LA Girl orange color corrector, and I'm using a very tiny amount of product as instructed here, and I'm only going to apply the color corrector on my under eyes, and I do this before I start applying the foundation. Okay, and if you have short nails, I would recommend you blend that in using your finger. It's easier that way, and please use very little product. So we don't want the orange color corrector to be very overpowering. Okay, and then after you're done, you can set the color corrector with a little bit of powder so it sits in place, it does not move. Okay, so it stays there, it does not move. And then after that is when I'm going to use a foundation. I'm going to use NARS. The shade is Macao for me, and I'm going to apply that using a damp beauty blender. And make sure you squeeze out the excess water on the beauty blender first. Okay, and little product goes a long way. Don't use too much product. So I'm going to start around the cheek area here, and for application, you're tapping it in. Tap, don't drag the product around. Okay, tap again. Little product goes a long way. And we do not apply foundation under the eyes. Okay, and make sure you blend in the neck as well. And here, take your time. Beginners especially, take your time. When it comes to blending, take your time to blend. Don't be in a rush. So you're just going to do the same exact thing with this other side of the face as well. And then after that, we can move on to the nose. For the nose region, I would recommend you start off by blending just on the tip of the nose and the lower side of the nose, and then the product remaining is what you can use around the corner of the nose. Okay, we don't want to use too much product around the corner of the nose, especially cream product. We don't want to use that because that is where we have most texture. We do not want to use cream products around where your skin is very textured. And then for the forehead, start in between your eyebrows. As you go up, you're going to blend left to right, right to left, just above the eyebrows going up, so the product is distributed evenly. Now after that, you're going to highlight starting from the under eyes, and to highlight, I'm using LA Girl Pro Concealer in the shade Fawn. Again, the concealer we are using for highlighting is a concealer 2 shades lighter than your skin tone. So around the under eye, you're just going to apply on the inner corner and outer corner, and then move to the bridge of the nose, not too much, and then the forehead as well. Now for the forehead, don't use too much highlighter, and make sure it comes in between the eyebrows as well. Okay, and then before I blend in that concealer, I'm going to apply a bit of blush. I'm just using a cream lipstick here, a pink cream lipstick. You don't need to do this, beginners. This is not for you, okay? You don't need to do this. I'm just going to apply that on the high points of the cheeks before I come back to blend in that concealer. Now to blend in the concealer, I start off with the tip of the nose, or rather bridge of the nose, and the forehead before I come back to blend in the under eye. The under eye should be your last resort for blending, especially beginners. Your last resort, because you need to set in the under eyes immediately after blending to avoid creasing. That is why I would recommend you blend in the under eyes last. So start off with the bridge of the nose to the forehead, and then come back to blend in the under eye. Okay, for the under eye, you're going to start blending from the inner corner going towards the outer corner. And remember guys, before you even blend in the under eye, make sure you have finishing powder that matches the shade of that concealer next to you, because immediately after you're done blending, you will need to set immediately. Don't wait for that concealer to dry out. Okay, so here again, take your time to blend. As you go towards the outer corner, you're going to blend it in an upwards direction like that. Don't blend it down, okay, like that. And again, take your time to blend, and for blending, you're tapping it in. And then immediately after, you're going to use a finishing powder that matches, a finishing compact powder that matches the shade of that concealer you use to set, starting with the under eyes. Now to set, you're going to use the same beauty blender. If you're going to use a beauty blender, use the same beauty blender, the side that has product. Take some of the finishing powder and use it to press in. For blending here, you're going to press it in so it sets that concealer, and you're going to do that on all the areas you highlighted using a concealer. So that would include the bridge of the nose as well as the forehead. Okay, and again, we start with the under eyes before anything else. To set, you start off with the under eyes, and then you can go ahead and use a setting powder. I don't be using a setting powder nowadays because again, my skin type is dry. I don't want to use too much powder. Now for me, I'm just going to use a bronzer, not contour, the high points of the cheek as well as on the forehead. And for the forehead, you're going to blend it into the hairline. And again, guys, I'm using a bronzer. Today I wanted the look to be a bit bronzy, like it's a blushy look today, so I don't want to use a lot of contour. Now the only time I'm going to use contour is on the nose, and for the nose I only use powder contour. So starting from where your eyeshadow stops, 45 degrees both sides, and then use that as a guideline to draw the contour lines. And I'm using a flat brush to draw the contour lines. Okay, to draw the contour lines, I'm using a flat brush, but when it comes to blending, I'm going to use a different brush. I'm going to use a clean fluffy brush to blend that in. Okay, do you see that? And then to blend in, you're starting from the upper side, you're going to blend it into the top side of the eyeshadow. Now as you go down, you're going to tap to blend. And using a clean fluffy brush is important because you don't want to end up having harsh contour lines on your nose. Okay, and then after, I'm going to use this blush from Cara Beauty. It's a pinkish blush, and again, guys, I told you today's look I wanted it to be very blushy, so I'm just going to use that on the high points of the cheek, and be very careful not to use too much. Okay, if you use too much, you can use a finishing powder that matches your skin tone to blend it out. And then after, I'm just going to use this cream liner from Golden Lip Cosmetics just on the waterline alone. On the waterline alone, we're not going to bring it down to the under eye, just on the waterline alone. And then I'm going to move on to the lips, starting off with a brown lip liner because I wanted to do a nude lip today, a nude glossy lip. So I'm going to start off with the brown lip liner first before I move on to applying lipstick. And guys, after you're done lip lining, before you apply the lipstick, make sure you blend in the lip liner first before you move on to lipstick. It's very, very important. Blend in the lip liner first before you move on to lipstick. So for lipstick, we're starting off with the Golden Lip cream nude lip, this one in particular. just as a starter, okay, before we apply a gloss lip on top. So especially if you're going to do a nude gloss on top of it, make sure you have something to hold the lipstick in. So I would recommend you start off with a cream lipstick first before you move on. Do you see that now? That is a gloss lip, a nude glossy lip. This one is Beachy from Fabiola Beauty. Going to apply that on top of that and then blend it in before I move on. And it's going to give you such a beautiful, 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 long lasting, okay, finish. And then after, I'm just going to set the whole face with a setting spray, and use a generous amount of setting spray, okay? Take your time, use a generous amount. Don't apply too directly to the face or too close to the face. Give it a bit of a distance. And that would be it from me today, guys. And that is how I do my nude soft glam. Let me know if you have learned something from this video. If you have, kindly remember to subscribe. Please subscribe. And then let me know what you would want to see next from me. This is the beautiful look we came up with. Very beautiful. Still, my skin looks like skin. That has always been my mantra. My skin has to look like my skin after I'm done with the makeup, okay? Just enhancing the face, not overpowering the face. That is what makeup should be doing to you. Now, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll be seeing you in my next video. Bye.